So today makes the end of 6 weeks, and man, there's been a lot of ups and downs, a lot of ups and downs. In the beginning, I just didn't think it was there. Even a few weeks in, I didn't think it was there. Yesterday was a big foul up. And it's just all a part of the learning process. And so my big idea from last Friday was to run another ad in ZipRecruiter to try to find somebody else, and that failed. All these candidates that are applying, it's not there. It's just not there. So I think that what I need to do is just save up and get a hold of a temp service and just let them do the pre-screen, pre-sorting, and just send me qualified candidates. Because ZipRecruiter, they basically have a bunch of people with just no experience. I don't know, maybe it's me, I don't know. But anyways, so today is Friday, last day of the week, the 6-week mark. So yesterday was a huge issue with a user. So he worked on a computer for, I think about 2 to 3 hours. And then in the very end, he leaves. And then like an hour later, the lady calls in like, hey, I don't have my email working. My application isn't working. I can't even get into my computer. And I'm like, what the? Just left her ass high and dry, and he just went home. So, okay. So, then later on in the evening, I get an email from the boss down there basically saying that there is an update to their database. So, I was like, okay. Normally, I go down there and I do it. And remember, the very beginning videos that I did was me leaving that location after doing those updates. And I was like, I gotta find an employee to do these updates. I gotta find an employee because this is like menial bullshit. I gotta find somebody to do this stuff. So last night I sent him a text and I said, you're gonna go down there and do this update this morning. So because because people like me and you, we grind, we hustle, and we stay up late. So what I did was when I got home last night after working a hard full day shift yesterday, so Wednesday literally spent like 21 hours traveling. Thursday morning, back in the office by 7 something, worked till like 4 o'clock, non-stop, balls to the walls, and I'm the only one that got anything accomplished yesterday. And then last night when I got home, I was ready just to fall asleep. But I had to go create a knowledge base article. I had to create 2 knowledge base articles on all the steps, step by step, baby steps, on how to do this update. Made sure he understood this is what was going on today. Sent him the steps, and then sent him a text message this morning that says, please make sure you follow the steps. Please make sure that you review all of the steps before performing any of the steps. So we'll see. So today is kind of sink or swim, and if he sinks, he sinks, and I guess he'll just get bitched at if he fails. And sometimes, guess what? When you start getting bitched at over and over and over again, one of 2 things happens. You either say forget it and you quit, or you get sick and tired of getting bitched at and you step your game up. Because I know, just like probably what you've seen, that people are going to put in the amount of work that they can to either pretend that they're busting their ass, or kind of make a show that they're out here doing some stuff. But I think that most people are lazy. I hate to say it. I posted on Facebook just the other day, human beings are the only life form on this planet that do not live up to their full potential. Does a tree grow halfway? No. A tree grows all the way, not halfway. But people, everybody I know down from the hood, everybody I grew up with, they stop. Everybody that I know did. If you would have saw them in their teenage years whatever they had in their teenage years, whatever their accomplishments are, is whatever their accomplishments are now in their 30s and 40s and 50s. Not much. We got to grow. We got to. So today's the day we find out, if he's if he's got a little something, little spunk in him. And the thing is that this is the kind of anxiety, when I woke up this morning, that I really felt that I was going to have at all times when I had an employee. When I first got an employee, I thought I was just going to be anxiety ridden at all times because there's so much going on, and I got OCD. I worry about, I'm every little intricate detail. I always stress out, worry over everything. So this morning, feeling a little bit of anxiety. And the negative thoughts come in my mind, like, the worst case is going to happen. The worst case is going to happen. Because I myself have a packed day. I'm actually on the way to a client right now, and I have a packed day. So I will stay on the phone with him, and I will baby him, and I will help him through whatever it is that he's going through today. I will do that. But I'm really hoping that he just steps up and knocks it out. He's been to this client by himself many times now, but he's never done a full upgrade like this. Me, I remember the very first time that they told me to go do this upgrade, I just showed up. And I just did it. I don't know, man. Maybe, I don't know. I'm a beast though, bro. I'm a beast. So I don't stop until I reach the finish line. I don't know, man. Plus I have experience. He's very timid, very scared, very young. I get it. You don't want to mess up. But, just like Michael Jordan said a long time ago, they're like, hey, how you winning all these NBA championships? How you doing all this? And he's like, we just go back to the fundamentals. Just like I was back on the basketball court when I was a kid. Just the fundamentals. That's it. Just go back to the fundamentals. And that's why I always try to push it to his head. Fundamentals. Because, I see a lot of things that we got to work on. And, I don't know that as an employer, we always want to be like, all right, go do this, and this. And then tomorrow morning, you find out that they only did one thing. And then in your mind, your first thing is like, fire this person. And, you can't do that. Because again, we're in the people business. What we're trying to do is we're trying to shape people into making us millionaires and billionaires. And if you're hiring people just for shits and giggles or to have an assistant, I just don't think so. The whole purpose of hiring someone is so that they can double. So he costs me $100 a day. He needs to be out here making $200 to $500 a day to justify himself. And so today when he's on site, he will make $250. But at the end of the week, when we tally all the money up and we tally all the work that was done and we tally all the tickets, it'll probably be about a break even. And we're 6 weeks in. So next week will be a different story because next Friday we have a bunch of computer installs to perform. So he'll be down there for 4 hours at a minimum setting up these computers. And in fact, he might even be down there a longer time because, it might take me 4 hours for 4 computers, but probably take him about 8 hours or maybe 2 days for 4 computers. And that's fine. That's all billable time. So I'm not too concerned about that. Plus, it's like, this is going to be a slam dunk in my mind anyways. And he's already been on site before by himself doing computer swap outs. So it shouldn't be an issue. Doing 4 of them, though, yeah, that's a little bit different, but we'll get through it. So, still have a little bit of anxiety. We're about 30 minutes away from go time. Headed to this client's now, my big client. I spent most of the day yesterday just basically handling the fallout from Wednesday's visit out there to Chicago. And got that pretty much done. I mean, I worked my butt off to get that done. And one of the things that I have to, and I've talked about this in these videos before, one of the things that I need to start doing better is charging people more money. Give an example. I single-handedly basically did everything to switch this company over, to basically integrate them with basically the company that has bought them out. Did it all. Touched every computer, worked with every single user, everything, man. Every little thing, dude. Spent like an hour or two on everybody's computer. Flew out there, woke up at 3 a.m., didn't get home till midnight, and I'm thinking, okay, well, how much do I charge for that? Because in the past, I just charged for the number of hours that I was on site at the client's location. An example is when I worked for the law firm, they would fly us out. I flew out to Chicago before, I flew out to DC before for the law firm, and if we worked 8 hours, they would pay us for 8 hours. Even though we had to catch a flight, all this other time that, they only paid us for 8 hours. I thought that was a bunch of bullshit. So now that I'm on business, okay, what do I charge? So what kind of pissed me off is, and what's got me really thinking is that this particular company uses this software, and they have their own software like vendor that helps them with the support of the product and with the installation of the product and things of that nature. And so I saw the bill for what they were going to charge to transfer the database from the old server to the new server. It was $8,000. Right? $8,000. And I'm thinking to myself, all you did was install the software on the new server and then transferred the database, and you got $8,000. Honestly, that probably took about 4 hours of work tops. And most of the work was just waiting on the software to install, or waiting for the database to transfer over the internet. All the other stuff is like basically, I don't know, like second nature. You've done this a million times. Click, 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 click. I mean, if you've done it a million times, it's not difficult. But to somebody on the outside looking in that don't want to have to deal with it, it's kind of difficult. So what do I charge? I did way more work. I did all the physical manual labor, worked with all the users one by one, did it all, coordinated it, planned it, got griped at about it, all that, dude. What do I charge? What are you thinking, 8,000? I don't know if I could pull that off, man. I don't know if I can. So I'm thinking 3,000. $3,000 labor for 1 day's worth of work, in my mind, right now in life, seems fair. Because I'm not out here reinventing the wheel or anything like that. I'm thinking, I don't know. The more I think about it, I'm like, 5,000. Because, I was listening to this thing the other day, that audio book I told you about, where it's basically, I forgot it's called, like the Genie Effect or something like that. It's from the guy who wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul. I don't even know how this book got on my phone, to be honest with you. It might have been a free one or something. I don't even know. Maybe I bought it. I don't even know. But anyways, in there, they're talking about, when he was out here doing all these speaking engagements. Dang, this thing's going crazy here. So, all these speaking engagements. And so he was basically charging like $3,000 or something, and he found out that others were charging more. And so he was like, okay, well, what if I ask, this is like back in the 80s or whatever, 70s or 80s. And he was like, okay, well, what if I asked for like $5,000? And so he asked, for $5,000, and the client said, okay, well, we had you budgeted for $8,000, so $5,000 is fine. So sometimes we kind of have in our mind to lowball because we don't think that we can get that money. But I don't know. So far, I've never had a large client question a bill before. I have had like small clients, delay in paying, or gripe about this or that, or little small offices with like a few employees, which I really don't like taking on. But that's that's part of the when you grow your business, you got to just take on what you can, and especially now. So anyways, I don't know. So going back to employee, because that's what this is really all about. So I got a call yesterday from a small company, talking about small companies, and they're like, hey, we got this copier, we moved offices, and the next step is to get the copiers going, and blah blah blah, and basically it's kind of one of them offices where like the owner owns it, and then his wife dinkers with all the IT, but she ain't got a fucking clue about what's going on. I told her the other day when I talked to her on like Monday, I was like, okay, you just moved into the office. Okay, you should have had the internet already thought of before you moved into the office, first of all. So I already know kind of what I'm dealing with. And then, they got like some home equipment at the office. And then she had basically a choice between AT&T and the other one, and she chose AT&T, even though I told her not to. So I'm like, okay, these are just a bunch of fucking whatever. So anyways, I'm on the phone with them, and they're like, okay, we got these copiers, and we got to get them like reprogrammed. And I'm thinking in my mind, I don't want to go do that dumb shit. Like, that's going to take me 5 minutes to do, man. I don't want to drive way the hell across town to do that. That's why I have an employee. But of course I don't really feel comfortable sicking him on that just yet. But honestly, I think that we're past 6 weeks. So I think I just need to start doing it. Just throwing him out there to the wolves and sink or swim. So, I mean, to me, a lot of this stuff is easy. That's because I've been in the trenches, and I've been there. I've been in situations where like all hell is breaking loose, and they're looking at me for the answer. They're looking at me for everything. And it's in those times that you get strengthened. It's in those times that your vocabulary changes, and that the way you present yourself, and the way that you handle yourself, and the way that you know that you can get through adversities, and whatever little small time thing is that you're dealing with today, even though the person on the other side is freaking out, I stay calm, I stay collect. I remember not too long ago, I get a call, and it's a bigger client of mine, and they're all of the managers, all C-class, is in an office, and they're calling me about an email issue, and they're just barking, dude. One of them's just barking at me, because you know how dudes are. Whenever they get around a bunch of people, they kind of get puff out their chest a little bit, especially management. Man, I stay calm, cool, collect, because again, I've been in those situations. I know how to handle that stuff. The average person would have buckled and freaked out, but that all comes with time. So I just get off on these tangents, man. I'm sorry. But we got to be like that to be owners. We got to be, once you get to this point, and I hope I'm speaking to the people that are like that $100,000, $150,000 level, that are wanting to get an employee, or just about to get an employee, or thinking about getting an employee, or whatever the hell about an employee, or just, already has a couple employees. Just, we have to realize sometimes, man, just how good we are, and how we actually got here to this point, and why we need this help, why we need these people, why we need assistance. And then also just getting our mind around what these people need to be doing for us. And that is out here just grinding. And unfortunately, when you find somebody that doesn't have all the world's experience, it's just that the growing pains, the trouble, just being patient with them. Because I don't know, man. I don't know. I just struggle with that shit sometimes. I just want to be mean, and I gotta not do that. I'm too old, man. I'm just grumpy, I guess. So I'm an MSP. I'm gonna end it here. So I'm an MSP in the Midwest. Did 150 in sales last year. Probably do about 150 to 170 this year. Goal for real for next year is 250. Now that I have one employee, and the end results, the goal is to get to $1 million a year in sales, and then after that 5, 10, and then we just keep it moving. So I've been working from home from 2011 until April of last month. I got an office, and then 6 weeks ago I got my first employee. He's a contract employee, Monday through Friday from 8 to noon, and he's on service call today. Hopefully he knocks that out, makes me some money. So if you like this kind of content, where small business, growing, all the hurdles, troubles, mental blocks, weird stuff that happens, hit the like, hit the smash the like, all that stuff. Subscribe, like, comment, share, all that. Catch you in the next one. Peace.